motherhood didn't end my career, it catalyzed a new one.
Kanika is the award-winning, top-ranked podcast host of That's Total Mom Sense, where she interviews influential voices like Chelsea Clinton, Kelly Rowland, and Bobby Brown about their life lessons, legacy, and trusting their intuition, what she calls mom sense, as they raise the next generation. All right, so Kanika, we're going to transition from talking about mentorship to a different conversation around parenting. But I don't know, because it seems to me like parents are a child's best
Yes.
mentor. So there's a lot of
Yes.
crossover there, right? Many of the aspiring bold movers tuning in today are in midlife, and that means they're juggling multiple responsibilities in their career, in their life, and a lot of them have kids, right? Parenthood is a big responsibility of women in midlife, and also are fiercely dedicated to their
Yeah.
careers. And maybe right now they are desiring a change, or it's possible that they've been forced into a change. I mean, we can't tune into the news without hearing all of the layoffs, right? Or the volatility that's happening. And then there are also a lot of us who just want career elevation, where we've been doing what we've been doing for, I don't know, 10 years, 10 plus years, and we're ready for more. And I know that, your professional goals and your ambition don't just come to a screeching halt when you have a family. But there is this narrative in society, Kanika, that you know all too well, that we have this impossible double bind. We're expected to work like we don't have children and parent like we don't have careers. I'm getting more familiar with this term, but the motherhood penalty is something that, a lot of women experience. I've just read a study published by the Female Quotient, and it actually found the exact opposite of what we've been told. It says 64% of employees say parenthood actually accelerated their careers and their leadership track. 82% of parents believe their ambition increased after having children, and 72% started making bolder career moves after becoming parents. Their words,
Yes.
not mine. Bolder career moves. So, Kanika, does this track with what you're hearing with your frontline experiences of interviewing parents on your show every week?
1000%. Yes. Yes. I, on a personal note, often say that motherhood didn't end my career, it catalyzed a new one. So, yes,
I love
that for sure. I live by that. And a lot of the guests I bring on my show, they have become such acute problem solvers and leaders that have high employee retention because they're more empathetic and patient and mindful. So better leaders because of parenthood. And it's great to see. And I think there's something so purposeful about it that once you have this human being or human beings that you're raising, you want to show up in the world in a way that's a good model for them. And if you hate your job, or you're dealing with a toxic boss, or it's a means to an end, it's not a good model. It's not what you would wish for them. So then I found that a lot of women are like, to heck with this. I am going to completely pivot and reinvent myself and do this now because this feels more aligned. And, if there's money, amazing. If there isn't, we'll figure out a way.
It comes back to this narrative that I've been focused on a lot through the Bold Moves podcast around finding inner clarity, because there are so many scripts that are operating in our society telling us how we should be, what we should be doing, what we should believe in. And it sounds like, this is a major societal script that's playing in the background, that when you become a parent, you have to step back from your career, or you have to shrink and play smaller, or you certainly can't want that VP title because you have too many responsibilities that are going to take you away from that. And I think that women need to block that noise completely out and really tune in and find out what's real inside of them and make their own choices from that
Yes.
place.
It's why I came up with the terms mom sense. It's our built-in sixth sense, and it never steers
Mm.
us wrong. And as much as you can, read what's trending or follow what's on social or talk to a friend and they say do it this way, that inner voice in your head's going to say, for
Mm.
you, what's
Mm.
best for you is this. So don't go against that and just like listen.
You have 3
Mhm.
kids. You've got a set
Yeah.
of twins and then another that's only 18 months, I believe. An Irish
I
twin, as they
yes.
call it. Yes, okay. Um, and you've been building the brand, that's Total Mom Sense. There I might have been an iteration before that too, as you've been building your
Mhm.
family. I think, a lot of people are curious, like, "I wanna do similar things. I wanna make bold moves and, obviously have a meaningful and fulfilling family life as well." And so I wonder, like, how do you, um, give advice to other people who are, like, feeling the chaos, but also want to become the best version of themselves, in this new, phase of their
Yes.
life?
I mean, I feel like there is the quote that I don't know, it lands with me. It sounds a little sad to think about it, but it's also very realistic and it's you can have it all, but not all at the same time. And and the reason why I want you to question this is like what is all? Is it all the wealth, all the success, all the, kids who are so beautiful and wonderful and well behaved? Like what is all? So, um, your all keeps changing, and that's an evolution in itself. And I think when you realize that there are ebbs and flows and seasons of life and where your priorities are, it'll just give you the perspective, and it'll click that it's like, "Oh, yeah, this is where I'm needed more for these next 2 or 3 years." And then I get to delve into this next and this next. And then, your, kind of cup fills from that. And that's how I played my cards. I feel like you have to be practical too. And yes, if you're paycheck to paycheck, then, don't like make this passion project like your be all end all. It's not practical. Then you're gonna have to like sacrifice sleep and burn the midnight oil and work on the passion project after the day job because that's the only way you're gonna be able to make ends meet. Like it's just how it goes. But in my case, if you have time to downshift and the means to, like my husband works in tech, and I want to give credit where it's due. I think not enough, like, I don't hear enough commentary about this, but I was able to downshift because we were like, okay, the one salary is going to be the bulk of our earnings for the household, and that's fine. And I decided, like, I'm going to build something else. I'm not going to do it for fun. It's not a hobby. I want to make my own, money and see my own success. But if I'm in the build phase when the kids are really young, that's okay. And so that's where I chose to do it. And I also knew the practicality. I had a digital marketing firm called Chronology Agency. That's when we met during our BNI days. It was a like web building, yeah, a compelling online footprint, service. And I had that for 6 years and I loved it. I mean, I was the president of my BNI chapter. I would be able to network my butt off about why everyone needed to care about their footprint online. And when I had the kids and I started listening to podcasts on parenting and was like, I need to get in this game. This is what I used to do. And I love that it's long form interviews and I got to do it. And I started and I, got my developer to make the designs and the cover art and then had editors and videographers in my network that I used, I had to make a choice. And I was like, I had the agency and the podcast through 2021. And even BNI. I was still the president throughout COVID. And in 2021, shit hit the fan. And I said, I have 3 different things that I do with my time career wise. Plus, I have 3 kids all at home with me. And there is no way, there's no sustainable way that I can keep all of them afloat and all of them successful. So it was like, okay, kids baseline, have to take care of them and be their, provider along with my husband. He's super hands-on. And, I hate him saying hands-on. He's like, equal skin in the game in parenting. So there's both of us for the 3 of them. And then I picked a lane and it was podcast. So I sunset Chronology Agency and I resigned from my president role.
It's ruthless prioritization,
Yes.
right? I'm so glad you shared your story, Kanika, because again, it comes from the inner voice and the discussions that you're having in your
Yeah.
family. It's not a show for other people. And I also, in between the lines of your story I'm hearing non-linear is okay. So again, another societal script that it's like you have to be on this rocket ship of success that looks like a straight arrow to the upper right. Where it's like, I think if you would ask most people, especially today, it would be more of this roller coaster looking or a
Yes.
wave, right? Um, and so measuring ourselves on somebody else's version of success is often how we get into comparison
Right.
traps and the fear, the just where we don't feel our best selves because we're comparing ourselves to other people and we're thinking we're not good enough because we didn't meet this
Exactly.
expectation. And the one other thing that I wanted to mention too is that a bold move, from my definition, is not about what magnificent, superior thing you can do or create. Um, it's really about what puts you outside of your comfort
Mhm.
zone and start taking little baby steps in that direction. And it's sometimes it's as simple as listening to your own voice because that feels a little
Yeah.
scary. I mean,
Yeah.
I bet you can relate where sometimes listening to your own voice did not feel like the most comfortable because it was telling you to do something that did not feel like it
Yes.
freaked you out a little
Yes.
bit, right?
Yes. Absolutely. It was my husband's voice. It was both of us
Yeah,
that it was
exactly.
like, you are oversubscribed. You want to do everything well and you're burnt out
Yeah.
and you're turning into a huge bee. So, yeah,
Oh,
is
yeah.
this
Let's have a come to Jesus
yeah,
moment.
is
Yes.
this who you wanna be, and is this sustainable for the long run? And are you happy juggling all these balls in the air? And that's when I was like, I gotta face the music. No, and what makes me happiest, that's the only thing that, gets kept, and everything else is cut. Just yeah, the ruthless prioritization is absolutely valid. Like, it's the only way, um, to even make your mark, and once you are all in to something, you're gonna be even more invested, and then you'll see the success of that because you're not actually dabbling in a billion things.
You mentioned, "Is this who I wanna be?" Or maybe your,
Yeah.
husband mirrored that to you. It makes me think of the identity shifts that parents go through, especially becoming first-time parents. So, I'm curious about your personal identity shifts that you had to make going from you, focusing on you and your husband, of
Yeah.
course, and building your business and doing your career path the way that you were leading it at that moment to now having a family of 5 while also building your
Mhm.
career. What because this is such an important conversation for bold movers. You know, if we get our identity too tied to something specific, like a work or a job title, it's often very
Yes.
challenging to move. So, yeah, I'd love to just get your perspective on all of it.
Yeah. I think I knew when to rev the engine and do more and when to dial back and say, like, I'm bowing out of this. And I made sure that my kids, even if they didn't have so much of a semblance, like, knew that. So with
Mm.
like, you know, speaking engagements and being at the conferences and all of that, they were happening when, you know, my kids were 2 and 3 years old. And I was like, oh my God, so much FOMO. I wanted to be at all those things. You know, it's like, I have a show, I have a platform, I want to be on this stage, but it wasn't my time yet.
Is that what you
Yeah.
said to
Yeah.
yourself? It's not
I
my time.
allowed,
Mm.
of course, it was like harder in the moment because it just felt like, you know, how come I'm just not in this game and I'm not like, you know, making strides? And it wasn't so much, I don't compare myself to anyone else. I think because I have this inherent thought that if you want someone else's success or their wins, like you have to take their problems too. And it's, you know, let's think of how heavy that is. You know, I'm an empath to my core. And like as an example, you know, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, who I admire so much. I look at that as like this, you know, leader in tech. Look at him as a leader in tech, and I, you know, married to someone who's in tech, and think, wow, imagine just like having that level of success in this industry. But he had to come home to his son, Zane, who had cerebral palsy. And he passed away at the age of 26. And I can imagine how gut wrenching that was for this big time CEO in his home life with his baby. That's rough. So when you think of that, you know, it's like, do you want all that and that? And just, I mean, it makes me admire the man even more. That like he was able to show up for his employees and his, you know, the vision of the company and continues. But it's like, you know, everyone, you can take any leader, any successful figure and think like, what's going on in their family and their home life or their childhood? What was some of the stuff they had to deal with? So that, yeah, that at very baseline, it's like, I don't compare. So I knew not to do that, but I just hold a high standard for myself, and I'm a perfectionist, and so part of me just felt like, well, I'm not in the game, but I would just continue to tell myself it's not time, you know, and even with rejections, I would always say there's a better yes coming.
I do similar things. Yeah. You know, because often the progress we want is not on our timeline.
Yes.
I mean, you know, sometimes I go to bed or I would want to go to bed and wake up tomorrow and, you know, there's I don't know, so many invitations to talk about bold moves at all of these different events that I'm obsessed with, you know. But you know, then I got to take a step back and say, in due time, it
Yes.
will happen in due time. You know, it's not right now. I'm putting in all the work, I'm planting the seeds, and it will be if it's meant to
Mm,
be. So it is also like, I think that surrender part of it too. But I like the deep empathy that you give to other people to realize that, um, it's not competitive, that we're all dealing with our own set of
yeah.
challenges, and so, um, what you see on the outside isn't always what's going on behind
Right.
closed doors, and trading those problems with yours might not be worth it, and that's a really helpful
Yep.
reframe.
Exactly.
Hi, friend. It's Kristen. I hope you're really enjoying this episode. I just wanted to take a quick pause from today's conversation to ask you a question. How many times have you listened to a story on this show and seen yourself in my guest because their story was so relatable? You've had a similar experience and you thought, I know exactly how she feels. I relate to her experience and I know I need to do something to change my life too. But then life gets lifing and you go right back to ignoring that inner whisper about what's next. You know where I'm going with this, right? You find yourself wondering, okay, Kristen, sure, but how do I actually do this without completely burning out? I see you and I've got you. Inspiration is great, but it doesn't change your life without action. That's why I write the Bold Moves newsletter. I personally distill these episodes into the exact mindset shifts and bite sized micro actions you can start using to make the change you're craving. It's the clarity and the mentorship you need to pursue your bold move as the main character of your life. So stop waiting, stop wondering, and together let's make your bold move happen. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe right now, and I'll see you in your inbox. All right, now let's get back to this conversation. Hi, friend, it's Kristen. I hope you're really enjoying this episode. I just wanted to take a quick pause from today's conversation to ask you a question. How many times have you listened to a story on this show and seen yourself in my guest because their story was so relatable? You've had a similar experience and you thought, I know exactly how she feels. I relate to her experience and I know I need to do something to change my life too. But then life gets lifing and you go right back to ignoring that inner whisper about what's next. You know where I'm going with this, right? You find yourself wondering, okay, Kristen, sure, but how do I actually do this without completely burning out? I see you and I've got you. Inspiration is great, but it doesn't change your life without action. That's why I write the Bold Moves newsletter. I personally distill these episodes into the exact mindset shifts and bite sized micro actions you can start using to make the change you're craving. It's the clarity and the mentorship you need to pursue your bold move as the main character of your life. So stop waiting, stop wondering, and together let's make your bold move happen. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe right now, and I'll see you in your inbox. All right, now let's get back to this conversation. I've got a few rapid fire questions to wrap us up on this parenting topic around bold moves. Okay, so the first one. You've spoken to some of these very well recognized icons about parenting and being bold simultaneously. So I want to know, what have they shared with you?
Oh, nice. One from Chelsea Clinton is birth order and why that matters. She's an only child, grew up in a fishbowl where everybody knew who she was across the globe. She wrote a book called Welcome to the Big Kids Club. And, she is actually a really devoted mom of three. And so she wanted to understand what it's like to have a younger sibling. She never knew that. So it's like, put yourself in your kids' shoes, because then you're going to really understand who they are as human beings. So yeah, I loved learning that from her. And Kelly Rowland taught me the art of forgiveness. She was raised by her single mom, Doris, and her father was just estranged, not in the picture. And even when she kind of rose to fame with Destiny's Child, um, she would have security guards like turn him away. He would come to different cities where they're performing, and they were like, "Oh yeah, do not set foot on the premises. She doesn't want to see you." And after her mom passed, she reconciled with her dad. Some inner voice of hers, like her mom's sense, was like, "Okay, let's give the man a chance and like meet him." And she said she had all the stuff she wanted to say like scripted in her head. And when they actually like met up at some restaurant, she's like her mind just went blank. Like she was just like all the animosity, anger, all of it just like fell away. And she got to know him for him. And later on, now he is like the most involved grandfather in her kids' lives. And she says that like they lost a grandparent, but they gained one, all because she reconciled. And I think there's, just a beauty in all things parenthood and family life in forgiveness. And lastly, Dr. Becky, she teaches us all the time on her social media channels, and then even through her book and app, Good Inside. But it's all about the rupture and the repair. You're going to have moments where you blow up. I blow up at my kids all the time, drop the F bomb. Like, it's like, oh my goodness, I just totally effed up, you know? And then when I'm kind of back to my senses, I get down on their level and I'm like, mommy's having a really hard day. Something went wrong at work today and I'm just really upset about it. And that's been carried through the rest of the day. It has nothing to do with you. And that repair makes it so that they're not internalizing. And yeah, it's something that we need to do with like everybody in our life, honestly.
Okay, you all, if you haven't gotten a sense of Kanika's mom sense, you have got to tune in to her podcast. That's Total Mom Sense. If you are a mom making a bold move, please go check out Kanika's podcast. Okay, Kanika, this is the last question,
Sure.
I promise. How does letting our kids see us make big, scary, bold moves actually benefit them in the long run? What is the ultimate legacy of a bold mover parent?
Ooh, we should be making multiple bold moves every single day. And to model that for your children gives them the confidence and the agency to do the same in their lives. And I think that is, a legacy that we want to create so that, the negative self-talk and the insecurities and, the people that hold us back actually have no bearing. It's this inner knowing and self-worth that propels you forward. And if you can do that with a career move or a hobby or something, your kids are going to follow suit. And I actually did this recently. My daughter is learning the same Indian classical dance that I do. It's called
Yeah.
Kuchipudi. I learned it for 15 years, starting age of 5. I am 43 now. And just last summer, my daughter is learning. She's, like she started at the age of like 5 or 6 herself. And so she had a performance. And I told the teacher I'd love to do like a duet with you, a solo or a duet or something. She said, let's do a duet. My daughter got to see my bold move on stage after her. And she got to see that age is nothing but a number. And if she likes this dance form and loves performing, Mama can too. And I want her to always take that with her because when she's in her 40s and I'm not going to be here, I want her to be doing that.
Kanika, this has been a treasure. Thank you so much for dropping all of these wisdom bombs. I'm so grateful that you are here to share this with all of us. I am more than grateful that we've reconnected over the last couple of months. Where can listeners connect with you and
Oh,
find
thank
you?
you, Kristen. You can find me on Instagram. I'm most active there. My handle is at Kanika Chadda Gupta. Also on Threads. And my website is that'stotalmomsense.com. And you can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And I have a course that I launched recently that's also on the site. It's called In Moderation. Just click on course. And that is my masterclass on moderating interviews, firesides, and panels.
Thank you so much. Everybody go follow Kanika right now. Check out everything she's doing. You will learn so much from her. And I hope that you love this episode. If you did, please show us some love in return with a 5-star review. Kanika, if people wanted to leave a review today, and we hope they do, what would be a prompt to give them to leave in the review
Ooh,
today?
share your favorite piece of advice that we covered in this dialogue that we had, because we covered mentorship, trusting your inner voice, parenting, bold moves, pivots, all of it. Like, what was it for you? I want to know.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.